This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam. We're continuing in Mishna Berura, Daf Hashavua. We're in middle of Sif Yud Aleph. We're in Siman Chaf Hey, Sif Yud Aleph. The Mechaber said that after you tie on the Shal Yad, you put on the Shal Rosh before you do any of the wrappings. However, the Mechaber brought the Shita Rabbi Yosef Giktilya, that not only that, it is usher to take out the Tefillin Shal Rosh until the Tefillin Shal Yad is firmly placed. And even if they're both in front of you, you cannot involve yourself with the Tefillin Shal Rosh until the Tefillin Shal Yad is in place. The Mishna Berura brought down from the Ari that since wrapping is a mitzvah, it's not considered a hefsek. However, in a situation where by wrapping the 7 times, you're not going to be able to answer a davar shabakdusha, you should not do all the wrappings. Okay. The Rama continued. The Rama says, Yesh mishakasav lahaniach shal yad meyusha v'shal rosh me'umad. Some say you put on the shal yad sitting and put on the shal rosh standing. That is the opinion of the Agor in the name of the Zayar. And that's what many Sfardim do. In our regions, we don't do this. We put on both standing. Says the Mishna Berura, Shtein Mu'umad. Ayin b'Magen Avram sheroitz l'achriya. Look in the Magen Avram. Magen Avram wants to say, not like the Rama. The Rama says we do everything standing. He wants to say, no, put on the Shal Yad sitting and make the bracha standing. Avol be'el yarabba b'shem rashal b'shuva Siman tzadi ches kasav d'mi lanu gadam Rabbeinu Shimshon mikinain. Who is greater than Rabbeinu Shimshon mikinain? Achar shalam ad Kabbala, after he learned the mystical traditions of the Torah, haya mispala ketinek ben yomai. He would pray with the simple kavana like a young child. If you don't get if you don't really get the core of the Kabbalistic procedure, you're going to be cutting down the trees. In other words, you're going to be messing up the olamais. So do everything standing. And regarding removing the tefillin, the Dershu brings that the Mishna Berura says Sivan Chav Chesav Katan Vav, that the way you put them on, that's the way you remove them, and therefore we take off everything standing. Okay. The whole basis of the Svardic custom of putting on the Tefillin Shal Yad sitting is from the Zayar. The Gra proves no. The Zayar holds you're allowed to put it on standing. Akin ein lazuz mea minog. Do not move away from the minog of Ashkenazim. Now, what do you do if you're a Sfardi and you're davening in an Ashkenazi shul? And they're going to think it's a bit strange that you're putting on your tefillin sitting. Says the Stipler, brought in Kraina de Igarta, quoted by Dershu, Sfardi could put on standing. But if there is other Sfardim there, and it's sort of understood that you're doing your minog, then you could continue to do that. And now we come to something, one of the most discussed and one of the most interesting little passages in the entire Mishna Berura. Because there's always a conflict and there's always certain confusion or controversy. What do you do when the Balei Kabbala say A and the Halacha says B? Or when the Balei Kabbala say A and Shas says B? Or the Zayar says one thing and the Gemara says something else. So the Mishna Berura brings the principle of the Knesset Hagdola. Kasav HaKnesset Hagdola b'chlalei hapoiskim. Knesset Hagdola brings in the klalim of Psak, Kol davar shabalei HaKabbala v'hazoy ha'archolkim im HaGemara v'hapoiskim halech achar HaGemara v'hapoiskim. If the Balei Kabbala and the Zayar argue on the Gemara and the Poskim, you follow the Gemara and the Poskim. Mihu, however, in Balei Kabbala Machmirin, if the Balei Kabbala are Machmir, Yesh Lachmir Gamke, you could be Machmir. V'imloi Huskar b'Gemara v'Poskim. If something's not mentioned in the Gemara and the Poskim, Afal Pisha Nizkar b'Kabbala, although it may be mentioned in the Kabbala, Ein Anu Yecholim Lafak Linokach, we cannot enforce such a custom. V'din she'ein Muskar b'Hipuch b'Shas Poskim. A halacha that's not mentioned in the a din that is not contravened in Shas and Poskim yishlach achar divrei Kabbala, follow Kabbala. V'gam b'makim sheish plukta bein ha-Poskim divrei Kabbala yachriya. If there's a machlokes between the Poskim, then divrei Kabbala can be a determining factor. So the bottom line is, the Gemara has the highest priority. The Poskim have the highest priority. And they are followed as their word carries the most weight. If the Bali Kabbala are Machmir, you could be Machmir like them. If it's not mentioned in the Gemara and it's mentioned in the Kabbala, this you could follow it, but it cannot be enforced. And if there is a Machloikis between the Poskim, the Divrei Kabbala is Machriya. Now, what is Divrei Kabbala? So the Dirshu brings from the Stei Chemed, not only the Zohar, but the Ari is also called Divrei Kabbala. And Rav Moshe says absolutely not. The Arizal is not called Divrei Kabbala. Only the Zohar is called Divrei Kabbala. Only the Zohar and the Tikkunim, which are Tanoim. But the Ari, although he was great, very great, he's Nechshav Rak Ke'echad Min HaPoskim. That not only would we not follow him against the Gemara, but even in terms of Kabbala, we would not necessarily follow the Ari that Rav Moshe writes. And therefore, according to Rav Moshe, if you have a machloikis bein ha-poskim, the Arizal is not machriya. That's Rav Moshe Shita. The Arizal is not machriya bein ha-poskim. He's ke'achad min ha-poskim. He doesn't carry more weight, Rav Moshe says, than an Eliyah Rabbah. That's Shitas Rav Moshe. V'chein anu holchim la'oiroi, as Rav Moshe was a Posek Hadar. So that's Rav Moshe holds Divrei Kabbala is the Zohar. Divrei Arizal, after Hayagado Ma'oid, it does not carry more weight than Echad Min HaPoskim. And we're going to hold it here today. Tomorrow we do Sif Yud Beis, okay? Rabbi say, have a great day. Bracha v'atzlacha. Kol tov.
Can I ask? Hello?
Yeah.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.